Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. For Duggar family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. It was 6:47 p.m. when Jana Duggar's silver Honda Civic swerved off the wet highway. The skies had been crying since dawn, a steady drizzle that soaked the mountain roads of Asheville, North Carolina. The mist rolled down in thick sheets, blurring the lines between asphalt and oblivion. Jana didn't remember the moment her tires lost grip. 1 second, she was humming to Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol. The next she was spinning, metal shrieking, airbags bursting, and the world going sideways in a blur of pine trees and flashing headlights. The crash came not as a bang, but as a terrible silence that followed a violent crescendo. The only thing louder than the crash was the quiet that came after. Chapter 2. Memories and Metal. She woke up in a white room that smelled of disinfectant and artificial lemon. Tubes were in her arms, and her left leg hung suspended in a cast. Pain came next, dull, sharp, electric. But even stronger was the fog in her mind. The crash had taken more than metal and blood. It had taken moments, minutes, hours, maybe even more. A nurse, gray-haired with kind eyes, leaned over her. "You're lucky," the woman said. "You were unconscious for nearly 12 hours. Someone found your car in a ditch just off Route 19. You might have died if they hadn't." Jana's voice cracked like old vinyl. The nurse smiled. "A man named Elias. He stayed until the ambulance came. Said he couldn't leave you like that." The name meant nothing, and everything. It tugged at her brain like a thread she couldn't pull. Chapter 3. The Lost and Found. A week passed. The bruises turned yellow. The stitches itched. Jana learned to maneuver the wheelchair around the hospital's narrow halls. She hadn't spoken to anyone from her past, not her father, not her ex-boyfriend Marcus, not her boss from the art gallery. She didn't want to. In her dreams, the crash played on repeat, but always slightly different. In some versions, she swerved to avoid a deer. In others, she saw headlights coming toward her, bright and blinding. Once she saw a shadowy figure standing in the middle of the road. She began to question, was it really just an accident? Chapter 4. The Visitor. It was on the 9th day that he came. Elias, tall, with rainwater in his beard and worry in his eyes. He carried a paper bag and a folded flannel jacket under one arm. "I brought you coffee," he said awkwardly, "and muffins, the kind with blueberry and streusel topping." Jana studied him. "Why did you stay?" He hesitated. "Because you looked like someone I knew once, and because no one else was stopping." Jana sipped the coffee. It was lukewarm, but she didn't care. "You were the only one. The road was empty. Just me, coming back from Hendersonville." "Did you see anything?" Elias's face shifted. Like what she stared at him, like another car, or someone in the road. His silence lasted a heartbeat too long. "No," he said finally. "Just you. Just your car. The ditch was deep. You were lucky the trees slowed the impact." Jana didn't believe him. Chapter 5. Cracks in the Glass. Jana left the hospital 2 weeks later, hobbling on crutches, the crash haunting her steps. Back in her apartment, everything was just as she'd left it. The pile of laundry, the broken clock stuck at 6:47, the sketch pad on her desk with half-finished drawings of eyes, watchful, unsettling eyes. Her phone buzzed constantly. Marcus had texted 6 times. "Heard about the accident. You okay? Please call me." She didn't reply. Instead, she opened her laptop and searched. Car accidents Route 19 Asheville, and there it was. A report from 2 years ago. Local girl dies in fatal collision on Route 19. No other cars involved. The victim's name, Lena Carter. Jana clicked on the article. A photo popped up. She gasped. It was like looking in a mirror. The girl had her nose, her hair, her jawline. Different eyes, but still eerily similar. Jana whispered that's who Elias saw. Chapter 6. Ghosts of the Curve. Jana drove back to the crash site 3 days later. Her new car, a rental, felt foreign beneath her hands. The sky was clear this time. The road was dry, but her heart pounded as she neared the curve where it had all gone wrong. She pulled over, stepped out, and stared down the embankment where her car had landed. There were tire marks still faintly visible. She wandered to the guardrail and saw something odd, a bouquet of plastic flowers tied with faded ribbon, a memorial, with a handwritten note, "We still see you, Lena." The date below it matched Lena Carter's death. Jana touched the flowers, and the world spun again. Chapter 7. Marcus's Confession. It was Marcus who cracked first. After she sent him a photo of the memorial, he came over pale and sweating. "I didn't tell you everything," he began. "About that road, about Lena." "What do you mean?" He rubbed his face. "Lena was my cousin. We weren't close, but she died on that road, same spot. Everyone said it was just an accident, but she had been driving away from her boyfriend, Elias." Jana felt her blood freeze. "Elias," she echoed. "Yes, he was obsessed, controlling. She tried to leave him. He followed her. She crashed." Jana shook her head, but the report said they covered it up. No proof. Elias disappeared after that. Until now. Chapter 8. The Truth Beneath the Silence. The next time Jana saw Elias, it was at a small coffee shop downtown. She walked in, her limp still pronounced, and sat across from him without a word. "You lied to me," she said. Elias didn't deny it. He just looked sad. Tired. "She looked like you," he whispered. "So much. When I saw you there, broken and bleeding, it was like Lena came back. I couldn't let you go too." "You were there, weren't you?" Jana's voice trembled. "That night, when she died." He stared into his cup. "Yes, you chased her. I never meant for her to crash. I just wanted her to stop, to talk, but she was scared. I was angry, and she vanished, like a flame snuffed out." Jana stood. "You can't keep saving ghosts, Elias." "I'm not trying to," he said. "I'm trying to let one go." Chapter 9. The Letter. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived in Jana's mailbox. It was from Elias. In it, he admitted everything. Not just to her, but to the police. He turned himself in. He enclosed a newspaper clipping a photo of Lena and him happy once. Before it all fell apart. "Maybe this is justice. Maybe it's just penance," he wrote. "But I had to give you the truth. Because truth is the only road worth driving on." Jana folded the letter and tucked it into her sketchbook beside the drawing of the watchful eyes. Chapter 10. Lights in the Fog. A year later, Jana exhibited her art for the first time since the crash. The collection was titled Broken Roads. It featured canvases soaked in stormy colors, dark curves, rain-drenched highways, ghost-like faces hidden behind glass. But at the center of it all was one painting, a silver car wrapped in light, tumbling through mist, with a girl at the wheel and a fading shadow in the rearview mirror. People gathered around it, murmuring. One woman asked her, "Is this based on a real accident?" Jana smiled faintly as she said, "But not all accidents are just about cars." Jim Bob Duggar had always considered his house more than just a structure. Nestled in the heart of Tontitown, Arkansas, the sprawling 2-story home with its polished oak floors, cozy nooks, and towering ceilings was not only a roof over his family's heads, it was a monument to the life he had built, brick by brick, child by child. But on a quiet November night, the sanctuary he had built for his 19 children turned into a furnace of memories, smoke, and mystery. It started with a flicker. Michelle was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of beef stew. The twins, Jedediah and Jeremiah, were playing chess in the dining room. Jessa was reading aloud to the younger girls, while Jim Bob was on the back porch, admiring the sunset with a mug of coffee. Life was peaceful in the Duggar household, a rare calm between the often chaotic rhythms of homeschooling, chores, and endless rounds of laundry. Then the lights flickered, a slight dimming, a surge. Michelle glanced up. Power issue. Jim Bob stepped back inside, frowning. "I'll check the fuse box." He didn't make it that far. An acrid smell curled through the air, burning plastic and drywood. In seconds, the flickering lights were forgotten. Smoke began to seep out from beneath the laundry room door. Michelle screamed. The twins dropped their chess pieces. Fire! The fire spread fast. Too fast. The Duggars had practiced fire drills before. Jim Bob was always cautious with so many children under one roof. But this was different. The flames licked up the walls like they were fueled by something far more sinister than just faulty wiring. "Get everyone out," Jim Bob roared. Josh grabbed a fire extinguisher and tried to spray the base of the flames in the laundry room, but it was futile. The fire was too hot, too high. Children poured out of bedrooms. Michelle clutched the baby, Josie, to her chest as she ran outside. Jana and Jill helped the younger ones out of windows. Jim Bob counted heads in the yard, shouting names. 1920 paused. "Where's Justin?" The boy was nowhere to be seen. Jim Bob turned back toward the house, now belching black smoke from every window. "I'm going in," he barked. Michelle grabbed his arm, tears streaming down her face. "Jim Bob, you can't," but he tore free and ran into the inferno. Inside was chaos. The air was thick and biting. Walls Jim Bob had painted himself decades ago were now ash and agony. He moved by instinct, using muscle memory to find Justin's room. Flames snapped at his sleeves as he burst through the smoke. There, coughing, frightened, was Justin, curled in a corner, unable to open the jammed window. Jim Bob scooped him up. "I got you, son," through falling beams and a collapsing staircase. They made it out, collapsing into the grass as firefighters arrived, sirens screaming into the night. The Duggar home was gone. The next morning, nothing stood but a skeleton of scorched timber. News vans lined the street. Reporters whispered about the blaze, how quickly it consumed the house. Some hinted at arson. Others blamed the outdated electrical system. Jim Bob stood silently beside the wreckage, arms folded, eyes red. His family huddled under blankets provided by neighbors and the Red Cross. Everyone was safe, but safety didn't fill a hollow where memories used to live. Then the fire chief approached him, face grave. "Mr. Duggar, we need to talk." Jim Bob looked up, heart sinking. The fire chief led Jim Bob to a section of the rubble, carefully taped off. "We've combed through the ashes." "This wasn't an electrical fire," the chief said. "There are signs of accelerants, kerosene specifically, and a burned-out gas can." Jim Bob frowned. "Are you saying someone set this fire on purpose?" The fire chief nodded. "Do you have any enemies? Anyone who might want to hurt you or your family?" Jim Bob swallowed hard. "No one I can think of," but something flickered behind his eyes. A memory, a name. Years ago, a land deal gone sour, a man named Eli McCormick. Eli McCormick had once been Jim Bob's business partner. Together, they'd planned to turn a stretch of farmland into a Christian retreat. But Eli wanted to cut corners. Jim Bob didn't. The deal fell apart. Lawsuits followed. Eli lost everything. Rumors swirled that he blamed Jim Bob. Jim Bob hadn't heard from him in years. Until now, that night, as the Duggars huddled in a borrowed RV, Jim Bob's phone lit up with a blocked number. A voice came through, raspy and slow. "You took my future, Duggar. So I took your past." The line went dead. Jim Bob didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, rage boiling in his chest. Someone had threatened his family, burned their home, and now called to gloat. The law would take weeks, months, even to make arrests. He couldn't wait that long. He needed answers. He needed to do something. He drove to a property Eli once owned, an abandoned trailer on the edge of Boone County. Overgrown grass, a rusted truck, and behind it, tracks, fresh tire tracks. He followed them. At dawn, Jim Bob found a shack in the woods. Inside sat Eli, gaunt, eyes wild, surrounded by newspaper clippings and old photos. Photos of the Duggar house. Maps, blueprints. He had planned this. "Hello, Jim Bob," he croaked. "Nice of you to drop in." "You set that fire." Jim Bob's voice was low, shaking with fury. "I did what you did to me. I erased your legacy. Fair's fair." Jim Bob lunged. But Eli didn't fight. He laughed. "You're a public figure, Jim Bob. One slip, one punch, and your precious image is gone." Jim Bob stepped back, seething. "I'm calling the police." Chapter 9. Redemption. Eli was arrested within the hour. His confession, left on a cassette tape, matched the evidence. The community rallied around the Duggars. Donations poured in. Offers of housing, clothes, food, everything. Strangers came with tears in their eyes. Friends prayed with them. And Jim Bob, standing with Michelle beside the scorched remains of the life they built, realized something. A house is not a legacy. A family is. 6 months later, a new foundation was laid where the old home once stood. This time, Jim Bob didn't design it alone. Each child helped choose rooms, colors, layouts. Every brick was a tribute to their survival, to unity, to faith. On the day they moved in, Michelle gathered the children in the living room. Jim Bob lit a single candle and placed it on the mantel. "Let this be the only fire that touches this house again," he said. And together, surrounded by warmth that no flames could ever burn, they stepped into their new beginning.